Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. It's your Manchester United versus West Ham preview, and I think straight away that tells the story of the importance of this game for both teams. But we're here to talk about Manchester United, and it's massively important. Lots to talk about in relation to how we might line up in this game. I have a few theories. I don't think Agate will start. I'm struggling to see whether Martinez will start, but maybe I've got that wrong. But look, Manchester United need to win this game, and I've got a tactical switch that I think could make a big difference. And don't worry, it's not Mazraoui at number 10. How do we beat West Ham then? Well, look, looking at the league table straight away, that's where West Ham are 15th. We are in 12th. There is a 3-point gap, but we need to be looking at the top half of the table. It's not acceptable. We've got 3 Premier League games from here where I think we need to be taking at least 6 points. Chelsea at home next, Leicester after that, but West Ham are a team that you can get at. And when you look at West Ham, just for the start of the season, 8 points, 6 of them have been at home, 3 draws, and, sorry, not 3 draws. What have West Ham done at home? 3 losses and a win. They've lost 3 games at home this season. Really, really bad start for them. I thought they'd drawn 3, but obviously they've lost to Villa, they've lost to Chelsea, and somebody else beat them at West Ham. I can't remember who it was. Get in the chat. But they are vulnerable at home. There is no two ways about it. So this is how I would be looking to line up against them. We've got the opportunity to move into the top half of the table. Woohoo! And I think this is how he's going to line up. So straight away, Johnny Evans surely starts this game. I mean, I get the feeling Johnny Evans didn't go to Fenerbahce because we were resting him. I can't believe that he's got a knock. Because if he's got a knock, it's just another injury, isn't it? It's another player that we would probably need to start who actually is now a doubt for West Ham. So I've got Johnny Evans at centre-back with De Ligt. Mazraoui is back fit. So I've switched Delo to left-back, which I'll explain in a moment, and Mazraoui in at right-back because they are both better fullbacks than Martinez. So I'm sort of struggling to see where Martinez fits into this team, despite being the captain on Thursday night. Johnny Evans, if he was rested for Thursday, has to start. De Ligt has to start next to him on the right-hand side, and you've got to start Mazraoui and Delo because they are the better fullbacks than Martinez. So what do? Do you accommodate Martinez at left-back and drop Mazraoui and put Delo to right-back? I don't think that makes much sense. So maybe Johnny Evans isn't fit and Martinez starts, but one thing we do know about West Ham is they don't have Kudus and they don't have Füllkrug. Füllkrug is injured, Kudus is suspended, so they're probably going to play with the front 3 of Somerville, Antonio and Bowen. We've got to be compact. We've got to defend well. We don't want to give any weaknesses away. So Johnny Evans and De Ligt might work quite well against Antonio, to be fair, because they're both physical. It might be a game to leave Martinez out. I don't know. Get in the comments. Midfield 3, I'll talk about in a moment, but I want to talk about the front 3 for a moment because I think Rasmus fits in a little bit like Johnny Evans. Clearly, we didn't start him against Fenerbahce because we're looking... Fenerbahce. We did botch it up a little bit. Fenerbahce. Because I think that Rasmus didn't start because he was looking at the game of the weekend, Ten Hag, which I get. You've got to be able to rotate. You spent £34 million on Xerxes. You can't just not use him. So I think Rasmus will be fresh and starting this game, which is good. He has looked quite sharp in the last couple of games, and we want him to improve on that. But this is the big tactical switch. And if you're watching my career mode, you'll say don't do it because I messed up in that. But I'm going to put Rashford on the left-hand side, which means I want Delo on the left-hand side because they've got a bit of a relationship going on. So the reason I'm putting Delo at left-back is because I want to put Rashford on the left and Garnacho can go to the right. The reason I put Rashford off the left is I think he's happier there, but who plays right-back for West Ham? Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's not on loan. He's signed, so he will play. And I think Wan-Bissaka has an upper hand here. He's played against both these people. So who do you put up against Wan-Bissaka? Do you put the 20-year-old up against him or do you put the experienced player up against him? And I think Rashford is a little bit more explosive against Wan-Bissaka. And I'd be saying to Rashford, look, this is your game. This is Wan-Bissaka. You know about him. He's going to want to have a good game and I'm giving it to you. With Delo, I'm giving you that left-hand side. I'm putting my trust in you. And that is what I would do. Now, I don't know whether he will do that, but I would do that. I'd put Rashford on Wan-Bissaka and say, look, you're one of my senior players. That's a player that's going to be desperately wanting to play well against us. I want you to shut that down. In fact, I want you to exploit that area. Which puts Garnacho on the right. I mean, you could play Ahmad. You could play Ahmad. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't mind playing Ahmad in this game off the right, because if Rashford doesn't work against Wan-Bissaka, you'd want to bring Garnacho on. And this is something I've said before. Maybe Garnacho goes to the bench, not because he's bad, but because we've got 2 left wingers and we can only start 1. If Wan-Bissaka's putting Rashford in his pocket, you get Garnacho on to have a go at him as well. So I think it's tactically quite a good idea to bench Garnacho with the idea of having him for the last half an hour, because I think Wan-Bissaka is absolutely nailed on, like Dean Henderson before him, to have a brilliant game against Man United. So let's look at exploiting a very obvious area where one of their players is going to have a good game. So you could play Ahmad off the right as well. Into the midfield, we know that Bruno will come into the team. And also, again, I think he's going to drop Ugarte. Now, I know we spoke in the press conference reaction yesterday afternoon about how Ten Hag is saying that it's an important position. He did well against Fenerbahce, but it's going to take him time. I think that was the biggest hint in the world that he'll go with Eriksen and Casemiro the same way he did against Brentford. I don't think he starts Ugarte, which I think is a shame because it's West Ham. Where are you developing Ugarte then? Europa League? It's not the Premier League. If you want to develop this lad, you've got to develop him in the Premier League. But I think it's too easy for him to go, I'll go with the players I trust. I'll go with Casemiro and Eriksen, and I'll play Ugarte against Leicester in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday. But to me, I'm looking at that and I'm going, hold on a minute, Eric. We've spent £60 million on this guy. You wanted to sell Casemiro in the summer. You didn't start Casemiro in the FA Cup final. You started Amrabat. And now you're playing Casemiro in the midfield in games we need to win because your new signing's not ready. I would be a little bit put out by that. I might be wrong. He might go Ugarte and Eriksen, but I'm absolutely convinced he'll go with Casemiro and Eriksen because he's just not going to drop Eriksen, and I don't think he trusts Ugarte to run the midfield on his own in a game of this magnitude. So I think he'll go Casemiro. But I might be wrong. That is an area for West Ham where they can win this game. I'm not particularly worried about their front three with no Kudos. Bowen's a good player. Antonio's a good player. Somerville's a good player. But you can deal with that. Defensively, you can get at them. I like Wan-Bissaka, Todibo. Don't know who Emerson will probably play at left back. But, you can get at them. But the midfield, they've brought that Rodriguez in. They've got Alvarez who can play there. They've got Soucek. They've got Paqueta. I think that is the area where we've got to get a grip. So if he does play Eriksen and Casemiro, they've got to play well and they can't get overrun. And I would like to see us score first. I think it's so important. When you look at where both teams are, I don't think West Ham and Man United expected to be in the bottom half after 8 games. I think that this is a game that sort of is... A draw doesn't help either team because if people win around you, you drop. This is the game where if you win, you can kickstart your season. If you lose, pressure's really, really on. So I don't want Man United to draw this game. I want us to win this game. And I think it's a game of 2 personalities. It's a game of 2 moods. And I think that, yeah, being away makes it difficult. But if you can start well and score first, that West Ham crowd will start to panic. If they score first, it will be up. And we might start to panic. So it's really important that we start well because, it's not going to be as easy away from home if we go 1-0 down to try and do what we did against Brentford. And remember, this is a West Ham side that have already lost 3 out of 4. Their home record is abysmal. I watched Villa play them at the start of the season and they thoroughly deserved to beat them. I watched Chelsea play them and it was a little bit more 50-50, but Chelsea were really clinical. In that final third, we've got to be clinical. We saw it in Turkey. In the last half an hour, we got control of the game, but we never really did anything that hurt their goalkeeper, did we? And that's because people were taking pot shots. They were trying to take an extra player on. Look at the goal. Look at the goal against... Look at both goals against Brentford. Look at the last 3 goals we've scored. They've been well-crafted goals, whether it's a slip pass, a little assist there, a cross to Garnacho, or the goal that we scored against Fenerbahce was actually a really good team news. What message does that send to the rest of the team? The goals we're scoring are good goals and they're team goals. So when you're getting the ball, think twice before you shoot from 35 yards. Think twice before you start taking an extra player on. Let's look at the pass, because the last 3 goals we've scored have all been really good goals. And as fans, we should be saying, really good. Well done, Agate, for winning the ball. Well done, Rashford, for the cross. Well done, Xerxes, for the cutback. Well done, Bruno, for the flick. And this is what we've all been on about. This is how we can win games like this. Clinical, but make sure the chance is a good chance. We don't want to be shooting from 30, 40 yards. We don't want to go past one player and try and go past another when there's a simple pass on. This is a game where we're away from home and we need to concentrate. And we need to concentrate in the final third and score goals like I've just said. But God, we need to concentrate in the back defence as well. We have been away to Fenerbahce, we've been away to Porto, and we've squandered leads. You can't do that. We've got to defend intelligently. And I think this is why I think if Johnny Evans is fit, he will play. Because I think Johnny Evans gets it. With Johnny Evans at the back, we've defended a lot better. Lindelof comes in and we concede a soft goal. So again, I look at that back four. We need some leadership and we need some structure. And it'd be interesting to see what he does, because he might not play Johnny Evans. He might go with Martinez. But I think against someone like Antonio, it's probably wise to go with a little bit more muscle and a little bit more height. I mean, I don't think we're going to be playing a particularly high line against West Ham. I think we can play Johnny Evans and he can deal with Antonio with the power and physicality of De Ligt. I'm going to go with a Man United win. I feel a point, but I don't want to predict a point on the United stand, because I just think a point will be the same as Turkey. Everyone will be moaning about it again. If you lose, obviously it's open season, but I think let's go with a win in this game. We've got to score first. The players have, to their credit, absolutely not down tools, and I don't want that to start happening now. They have had opportunities over the last few weeks in the FA Cup final where they could have done what happened to Ollie and what happened to Mourinho. They could have downed those tools and they could have caused Manchester United to maybe really have to think about Ten Hag. But the players haven't done that. We saw it in the second half against Brentford. We saw it in Porto. We saw it against in Fenerbahce as well. The players may not have the rhythm, style of play that we want, but they have got the togetherness to work hard. And you know what? Someone like Bruno Fernandes has got to come back into this game and show his worth. We didn't have Bruno Fernandes on Thursday, and it seems to have not been mentioned much. I mean, that's our captain, that's our best player, and we didn't have him. And I think that's not really been mentioned because a lot of people don't really respect Bruno as our most important player, because he hasn't been there doing that when he has been playing. So coming back into this game on Sunday, I really hope Bruno can sort of take that rest and go, look, I know I need to step it up and do a bit better. But we've got to get the service into the front people as well. Like, we've got to score goals. I know it's obvious if you want to win, but we have to score goals. We've got to put West Ham under pressure. We cannot allow ourselves to go into that game with an air of uncertainty and allow West Ham off the hook. They've just been beat 4-1 by Spurs. They're definitely going to bounce back. They're definitely going to look to right the wrongs of that. They know they're under pressure. They've got a manager that's under pressure themselves, a brand new manager. We can't let them off the hook. We've got to try and exert ourselves. And when I look at that team and I look at the West Ham team, really, the only reason I look at West Ham and go, oh, they're a threat, is because I worry about what we do. I worry about the results that we're capable of. But when I see the names of Rasmus and Rashford and Garnacho and Bruno, and I look at their front four, as Paqueta, who's not playing well this season, Antonio, Bowen and Somerville, I think, well, we've got the better front four on paper. That's if we win 4-3, we still win 4-3. I'm not saying we're going to win the midfield battle, and I'm not saying that we won't concede goals with our defence. But our front four, I believe, is better than their front four. But belief is nothing. It's reality. We've got to go and show that. And complacency, inconsistency has always been our problem. I would be saying to Garnacho and Rashford especially, come on, let's not let those missed shots drop our heads. Let's not start creeping back into taking on too many players or shooting from 35 yards. Let's stick to the plan. Let's play the right pass at the right time and take the right shot at the right time, and we will score goals. Because I'm a firm believer that if we pass more, we'll create better chances to shoot from. You won't need to shoot from 35 yards because you'll be getting the ball in the penalty box with a better chance to score. That's really, really important. But look, I'm not contemplating anything other than a Man United win. If we did manage to win, I'd be over the moon, but it's just another step forward, which is what we need to do. And you'd be moving towards Chelsea the following week at Old Trafford. But we've got to give ourselves that opportunity. I think there is a real, and I said this yesterday, there is a real appetizer to look at this and go, if we can beat West Ham, we're probably going to be in the top half of the table. We're closing in on getting ourselves back into European spots. And more importantly, we're staring at 4 home games in a row. 2 of them are in the Cups, Europa League and Carabao Cup, but 2 of them are Premier League games. You know, 4 home games where you can really try and build some momentum. And then after the international break, it's Ipswich away where you'd be looking to try and win. So this is a huge opportunity for these players to start doing something that we doubt they can do. The ability to win 3 or 4 Premier League games in a row. We've not won 2 Premier League games in a row this season. So this is a cup final. I know it's only West Ham away, but this is our biggest game of the season until the next one. And we've got to look at it like that. We've got to be focused. We've got to be ready. I think as far as the players are concerned, obviously there's a manager question out there, but I think as far as the players are concerned, the fans want them to do well. The fans want to get behind them and they want to see them deliver. If Erik ten Hag ends up losing his job, I can deal with that as long as he doesn't lose his job because the players give up. Because if we get a team that's giving up, whoever the next manager is, you're always going to be left with that. And we saw that with Jose. The players downed the tools. Solskjaer came in. They go and win 7 out of the next 8. And you go, hold on a minute. How have you gone from complete shit to suddenly playing well? Oh, you're that type of squad that can down your tools and try and down your tools. We don't need that. If Erik ten Hag ends up getting the sack, he'll get the sack. But the players have to keep doing what they're doing. Keep giving absolutely everything. Because if that manager survives, we'll be successful. But if that manager gets sacked and you remain, at least your conscience is clear and at least the fans can still say, well, the players gave everything. They have been doing that. We've not been good enough, but they have been doing it. So I hope they can keep doing that. I think it's so, so important. Get your comments in below. What do you think about my team? I do think Agate will be on the bench. I would put Rashford on the left, and I probably would start Ahmad, to be honest with you. By the way, I hope you spotted where Ahmad is. He's not on there, but he is on the screen. A bit of an Easter egg. Probably not that hard to find. Also, I think, where does Martinez fit in? I wouldn't start Martinez at left back to drop Mazraoui or Dalot at right back. I would go Mazraoui and Dalot, and I think if Johnny Evans is fit, you're playing against Antonio. The trouble is, if you start Martinez at centre-back, Antonio will go towards him because he's massive. If you start Martinez at left-back up against Jared Bowen, that's silly. I don't know where Martinez starts in this game unless Johnny Evans has got an injury. Get your comments in below. Let me know what your thoughts are and also what your score predictions are. I'll speak to you on the next one. Take care. Don't forget, this afternoon, 3 o'clock, watch along on That's Football. We're live from the Valley for Charlton against Wrexham, covering all the 3 PMs, all the Premier League games in a different surrounding. So tune in for that. Love to have you with me. Take care, everyone. Smash a like and subscribe. Don't forget to get your comments in. I'll speak to you on the next one.